Hello again. Welcome to another edition of CropLife Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of CropLife magazine. Here today with special guest, Agribusiness Global Editor, Renee Targos. Renee, welcome.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
I am good. And they say we also have another guest kind of in frame. You have a pet cat named Pierre. And I think I see him slightly there at the bottom of the screen. So if our viewers are paying attention, yes, you can see some cat ears there in view. So anyhow, Renee, if you could, since I think this is the first time I've had you on CropLife Retail Week, you could share a little bit with our viewers about who you are, what you do here at Meister, and what you currently are working on, because I know you've been very, very busy.
Yes, thank you. I'm the editor of Agribusiness Global Direct, and I started about 2 months ago. What we're working on right now, and which is an inaugural event for our LATAM community. So we've got the Agribusiness Global LATAM Conference and Summit on August 2nd and 3rd. And right now we're in the process of working with our advisory board that's all based in Latin America, and they're helping us to create a great program for that event.
Okay, you said August 2nd and 3rd, and where is that going to be held?
That's in Panama City, Panama.
Wow, all right. So it sounds like it'll be a good event. So I'm sure if you look on the screen, viewers, we'll probably have a link so you can find out more information for yourself about that upcoming event. But I brought you on today for the video because you and I had the pleasure to actually attend a meeting together last week. We were at, I gotta make sure I get the name right, it was the Council of Producers and Distributors of Agrotechnology, CPDA, and they held their annual Adjuvants and Inerts Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. It was attended by about 260 folks from the industry. And you and I, like I said, we had the pleasure to hear several great speakers. I know one of the speakers that I was very interested to hear from was our friend Darren Kopic from the Agricultural Retailers Association. Darren talked about current challenges in the market for ag retailers. And one thing he brought up I thought was kind of interesting is in this day and age, a lot of the farmer customers are starting to pay for their services and products using credit cards. So I guess that's leading to some interesting logistic issues, and ARA, of course, is trying to help ag retailers to navigate through that desire by their growers.
Yeah, that was an interesting discussion. There were great presentations at that conference. You know, David Lee, Jim DeLisi, Brett Sciota, his Future Farmers presentation was wonderful, talking about how 5% of farms will be producing 75% of the crops for America. And his company, he's the chief executive officer of Aimpoint Research. They came up with 6 or 5 personas of what those farmers will look like in the future, so that they're going to be doing business a lot differently than the farmers that are currently doing business now. And the prediction is that those will be the farmers in 2040. I think that's what they're predicting. But he was basically saying that the traditional farmers, once they establish those relationships, they stick with those relationships. And he said these farmers will not. They'll be looking for the best deal. They'll be looking for innovation. They'll be looking for what's going to give them the results that they want.
Okay, and I know Brett had mentioned some workshops they actually put together, I guess, or modules or games they actually sort of put together talking about some of these forward-looking grower issues. So I know they made an impression on you, if you want to bring that up as well.
Right, so Brett has, he was intel for the military. So he's applying what he learned in the military towards this process he calls wargaming. And what they do is they get a lot of the C-suites from different companies to meet in November. And then they go through a process of looking like 20 years into the future. So they'll look at just all of these problems that are currently, and like what do they look at the outcomes, and then try to find solutions to those outcomes. And it's a long-term planning, which I found was really interesting, because I think that when we have a lot of different shifts happening and unpredictable things currently going on in the industry, having those long-term plans and being able to stick to those is also really important as far as advancing the industry, and like especially like with ag tech or biologicals. So I found it really to be really helpful. And I think you can get more information at his website. It's aimpointresearch.com.
Yeah, we'll put that up on the screen as well. So I know one of the takeaway I had was I actually did a video of one of the speakers, Dr. Bob Trigell from MVEC, one of our industry friends, and I guess a member of your advisory council as well. And here's a video clip of Bob. He was talking a little bit about kind of the size and shape of the grower community going forward. And he mentioned a little bit about the technology adoption challenge as well. And before we go to the clip, viewers, I will apologize. Bob, I had a static camera and Bob really liked to roam around the stage. So this video clip's not very long, but he does come in and out of frame a little bit, but it does not negate some of the good information he provides verbally. So if you can't see him in frame, it's not you, it's the way I recorded the video, but here is the clip.
I think the two areas that I see which is really happening is the segmentation in farming between large farms and small farms, right? And you find the larger farms more in the, I would say, mature economies, right? Like the United Kingdom or in the United States, I would say, because there's a lot of consolidation happening. And then the biggest issue that I see today for farming is technology adoption, right? So when I talk to farmers, when I'm with farmers, when I'm listening to farmer panels, that's where they're having the most difficulty, right? So that's an opportunity, right? Well, it's a challenge for them. It's an opportunity for everyone here in this room. The second one is on the marketing side, right? Right? You know, where do I get the maximum, optimum price for my commodity, right? I mean, there are still some farmers sitting on crops from 2 years ago in their bins they haven't sold because they're speculating, right? And some of them are probably going to make more money and others might lose more money, right?
So that's what Dr. Bob Trigell had to say about his projections for what we're going to be seeing in the grower community going forward here over the next few years. And I know, Renee, one other thing that was really interesting to me, of course, there was an executive leadership panel, a bunch of the top ag retailers that was here, at the event. They had Brett Bregerman from Winfield United, Troy Bolt from Simplot Grower Solutions, and then two individuals who actually I got a video of, Eric Cowling from Helena Agri Enterprises and Jeff Tarsi from Nutrient Ag Solutions. And here are Eric and Jeff answering, of course, the big question of the conference on everyone's mind, supply chain issues and how ag retailers are dealing with those.
The question was for Eric, just supply chain disruptions, close battle, you've been dealing with them now for a couple of years through the pandemic. How have you gotten through those and what do you foresee over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think you have to break that down for us to the crop nutrient side and then the herbicide business. You know, the comment Jeff made about having partners in the business, that certainly is weighed heavy for the last 36 months, 24 to 36 months. But if you ever predicted how early we would have to make decisions to have a product, none of us in this room could have predicted that. A lot of you in the supply side. So I think just having more visibility of where you are, managing your inventories becomes a huge responsibility for all of us. I mean, everybody takes a position to have last gallon sold. That doesn't work in the environment that we're in today. So it takes a lot more intelligence on understanding the crops that we're planting. Acre shifts have a big play in that. I think for all four of us on the panel, you know, a couple million acres comes out of one crop, it goes to another, you're in a bad spot. So it's constant. You know, when you talk about the shipping issues, and we all have dealt with that, you know, ordering product now that we're going to apply next June is not normal for our business. So I think we've had a change in mindset to just understand that's part of business, taking care of the customer. You know, we talked about trying to take care of the customer. They rely on us, and we understand that. So I think we've just had to change our mindset on what we're up against. You know, I don't know that that's going to change anytime soon. The fertilizer side, and there's a couple fertilizer guys here at the table that have visibility of that, but that's a whole different ballgame. You know, a lot of transportation and distribution and logistics on fertilizer is completely different from the CP side of the business. So we should have awareness. It's something you monitor every day. If I think about the cost that gets added to all of our businesses, and everybody in this room, the cost that we've added in our businesses to try to keep track of this situation we're in is it's probably unbelievable creation of new numbers. So I think there's more recognition, better customer planning.
So is that the new normal, or do you see a return in the next couple of years back to the kind of previous model?
I think it'll take a while for it to migrate back there. I don't think we're going to just have something happen in this economy we're in today. We go back to 3 years ago economy. I think it takes a while for it to soften. I wish I knew that answer. I probably would have myself to you, but you know, I just don't see that going back to being the new norm that we're used to.
Jeff, talk about supply chain a little bit.
Yeah, obviously, I think I would be echoing on the same comments that Eric just mentioned. You know, if I think back, I think it's really been that far back, March of 20, is when we, you know, really started seeing the first effects of COVID and what that might mean to the supply chain. I don't think we had any idea at that time just what the effect of the supply chain would be. But I also don't think that we had any idea that we would be sitting here in May of 2022 and have worked through this side. There have been many disruptions that came between that March 20 and where we sit today. I can tell you, I'm not unlike any of our other colleagues. We battle it on a daily basis. I'm very thankful that over the last 10 years, we spent a lot of capital on our supply chain, distribution centers, more efficient equipment in our warehouses and stuff, and transportation that has helped us. It hasn't cured the issue, but and I'm like Eric. I don't think if we're going to be completely out of this in 22. I think we'll see, you know, we'll see signs of it in 23 as well. But one part I'll mention about the supply chain piece of it, and I know if we've got any independent people out here, they're going to acknowledge this right off the bat as well. I had a major round with our finance team just earlier this week. If you ever stop, if you hadn't looked, don't go look. But if you ever stop and go look at your working capital right now, and what kind of constraints, and sometimes we just take it for granted that the folks that sit back there in the finance group didn't have the cash to cover and put inventory in our houses and such. But you know, if I look from a year ago across every ton of fertilizer we're holding in inventory today, the value increase on that's been about $300 a ton, and that is an enormous increase. And if we look at the crop protection side of this business, and look at products like glyphosate and glufosinate, and look at the increases that are there, it is a real burden on working capital. And that's the piece that I don't think anybody really forecasted really well when we talked about how long that chain would be on the supply chain side of it. And I can tell you, I get up every morning and my most anxious report I open is that inventory position report, because this will end. The supply chain situation will end, and it's likely going to end when we're not expecting it. And so we really got to do a really good job as an industry to really get a handle on inventory and don't get euphoric with trying to hold inventory and things like that.
So that's what Eric and Jeff from Helena and Nutrien respectively had to say about what's going on with supply chain challenges in the ag retail space. Renee, I know it was interesting. One of the other speakers, I believe, said that, you know, when you were talking about supply chain issues, a question came up regarding how long they're going to last. I believe he said that just get used to this for the next 24 months, unquote. So again, something we've been talking about a lot, and I guess we'll continue to do so for a little while longer, unfortunately.
Right. That's exactly what I've been hearing also. I've been hearing like 18 to 24 months, but that, you know, a lot of the ABG advisory board members are asking the question, you know, what is going to be the new normal after this time period? So we've got that question on our LinkedIn group, and we're looking for people to give us their opinion, but it's definitely, I think from everything that I'm hearing, it's definitely have like your plan A, B, C, and D.
Yeah, I think I heard that many times. People said they went through plan A's through D, and then they're on plan E and planning out for F and G, because again, it's just, Yeah, I guess the key is for the marketplace just to be very flexible and adaptable, because things are changing so quickly that's probably going to be the only way you're going to get through this 22 growing season, unfortunately. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, Renee, since you joined us, tradition demands that you play a game.
Okay.
So it is time for fun with numbers. All right. Well,
I'm looking
I
forward to it.
suspect that you will do just fine on this quiz question, because I wrote it. And then before we went on camera, you actually did indicate to me you were paying attention to some of the speakers at the Adjuvants and Inerts Conference. So I think the number and the answer will ring a bell for you, and hopefully we will ring the bell for you at the end of the quiz. But here you go. So as I explained this game, we'll give you a number, and then I'm going to give you 4 options that number might represent. So the number is 164%. You can smile now if you want. So does 164% represent A, the percentage of overall crop nutrient price increases we've seen so far in 2022? Is it B, the carbon market percentage growth during 2021? C, is that the increase in data management services percentage being offered by ag retailers in 2021? Or D, was that the amount of time during our trip and our time together in Nashville, we talked respectively about our pets, your cat and my dog?
Was it the carbon market?
Hey, yes,
Yay.
it was. Matter of fact, I think just before we got on camera, you mentioned a few statistics you had pulled together regarding that. So if you want to share with the viewers what you had pulled away from that.
Sure, that was for Bob Trugal's his presentation. And I found it interesting that he was talking about how while emissions are decreasing in other areas like auto and some of the other industries, it's increasing by 12% for agriculture. So he said the carbon market is going to be, I have pulling up the stats right now, but he was talking about how there's incredible growth happening right now, currently 164% in 2021, reaching 851 billion for that market. And he said it could be worth 22 trillion by 2050. So it's definitely a growing market, which is great because of the impacts that it has for sustainability.
Amen. So yeah, and I'm sure for your LATAM conference, I'm sure there'll be something discussed regarding carbon as well. So if folks are interested in that event, I'm sure down the line, maybe post-event, if they couldn't get to Panama City themselves, we'll have you on for a video and you can tell us all about the highlights from that event.
Great. Yeah, I love to do that. It's coming together really well, and biologicals are very they're used a lot in the Latin American countries, so that's a big emphasis on the conference session. So yeah, I'd be happy to come back and talk more about it.
Very good. All right, well, Renee, thank you so much for joining us this week on CropLife Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj. Can't say my own name now. Thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you again soon. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.